What's going on, y'all? This is Jay Faith from the Right Mind Podcast. We all know and hate ads, so we want to just hit you with it right from the beginning. So first off, I just want to say God bless to everybody. Shout out to Minds of One Collective Genius, the team, for all that they do in supporting this podcast. I want to shout out Have More Faith. Make sure that you check that out. Grab your apparel, Christian apparel, available right now in store. You can check them out on Instagram, Have More Faith _HMF, as well as For His Glory, IV His Glory. Be sure to check out their website. You can get 15% off your first purchase with J_Faith official promo code. Make sure that you glorify God everywhere. Shout out to everybody, and shout out to you, our listeners. Appreciate you. But now let's make connections through conversations with this upcoming episode. What's up?
You can never tell me. You can never tell me. I won't rise.
Man, what's going on, y'all? It is Jay Faith from the Right Mind Podcast. I just want to say God bless to everybody. Say what's up. I feel like it's been a minute. I know we've been kind of quiet on social media and stuff. We've just been moving a lot. But I hope that you guys are still checking out all the episodes, checking out the amazing guests that we've had on recently. Be sure to check them out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. We only have 3, but somehow I keep forgetting how many we have. It's whatever. It's been a long, just couple months, long couple weeks, and a long couple days. I'm currently traveling right now. I am in Washington, D.C. Super excited, as you can tell. I'm in my hotel room. I should have opened the window so you could see, but there's not really a view, and that's okay. I think the airport is right behind me, so nothing too spectacular that is happening on behind me. So maybe you're better off without the view that is there. But anyways, I just want to say God bless. Let's make some connections through conversations today, tonight, whenever you're listening to this. I want to say shout out to the team, shout out to Krispy, shout out to L.Y.F.E. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys for all that you do. And everything that you do. Miss you guys. I'm looking forward to being back with you guys next week, filming, all that fun stuff. Just took it upon myself while I'm out here. I had different plans, but I wanted to at least try to get something in for everybody, and especially talk about some things that I'm actually doing while I'm here, or things that I'm a part of that I'm super proud of to be a part of while I'm here. So that I want to share and hopefully just advocate and just bring awareness to, and hopefully we can find some support in those things as we move forward, and just understanding the value of what it is that we're doing here, and what we can do as people for the future. So like I said, I'm in DC right now. I am here for work specifically. And what we are doing is that we are here for what's called the Joint Services Teen Council. And what that kind of, to put it in a simpler kind of landscape, is Teen Council is Air Force military run program that is led by teens, and they get involved in their communities. They speak up about the issues that are going on within their programs and how they can make positive change in order to help teens grow, in order to help teens thrive in their communities, and as they get older, go off to college, go off into the workforce, all of those things where they become the future of our country, of just our generation, and how we can make them successful as they get older. And it starts with programs like youth centers, boys and girls clubs that are mentoring these kids from knowledgeable advisors. And so it really starts here. You can only gain so much when you are in school, but the social and some of these other skills that are not being taught in school, they can find them here at these centers. And that's why, first and foremost, I just advocate if you are near a Boys and Girls Club, if you are near a military affiliated Boys and Girls Club, please make sure that you are taking the time to go check them out and invest in them, because there are a lot of amazing advisors that are there just looking to build positive relationships with youth in order to help them grow and experience a lot of great things, but also the programs that they're offering within those centers and clubs, that your kids can really discover their passions, things that they enjoy, things that they love, build on those passions, and find additional resources that they can explore in order to just truly understand what they are, and just, have a lot of fun as well. So please, definitely check those out, get involved, support them as much as you can, spread the word as much as you can, and let people know just what some of the great things that are happening within those programs. All you have to do is take a step in the door, and that's truly the first step. Literally, is taking a step inside the door. People can comment and talk about, well, I don't get it, or they do this, or I've heard that. But have you actually taken a step inside the door? Have you actually talked to the people? Have you talked to the staff? Have you talked to the kids? With permission, of course. But have you talked to them? Have you heard their experiences? Because the kids that I'm with this week, I'm here until Friday, they all have amazing stories, and they all have powerful messages that they want to share about their youth centers and the things that they're seeing, and why they want to advocate for teens to have opportunities to just be better. And that kind of goes over a lot of different areas of, focus that they're trying to dial into. But they have these true passions that, a lot of people kind of put down sometimes, and this is an opportunity for their voices to be heard. Some of these kids are Youth of the Year candidates, where they're coming into platforms and sharing their stories of how their club has impacted them, and what they're passionate about, whether it's mental health, whether it's teen advocacy, homelessness, those kind of things. And again, just allowing them to have a platform to be able to share those things, and for people to hear their story and hopefully inspire others, just like we do with this podcast. They have these amazing stories, and people hear them, and other teens can recognize that, maybe I'm not the only person that's going through these things, and that there is somebody out there just like me. Just like scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that people go through, it isn't the first time. You aren't the only one that's ever gone through this situation. So understand that there is somebody out there that is going through a similar situation as you. So let's be empathetic in those scenarios, but let's also be supportive in those scenarios, and really be there for each other in those times, and try to have some sort of understanding when it comes to that. Sorry, I'm just making sure, because I'm working off of different technology here today. But anyways, making sure that we are there and supportive for each other. So with that, we are here. The kids have been just like kind of brainstorming their ideas on, what it is they really want to focus on. And it's an opportunity for them to get it to higher up people that have a little bit more power and a little bit more influence in making these changes, and being like, listen, these are the things that we need to see within our club. And we really want you to hear us, and we really want to figure out ways that we can make these things happen. And part of that scenario is just making sure that these clubs are open and these clubs are available to our teens, because when they aren't open, or they aren't available based on maybe community or location, etc., there are causes to that, because you start to create at-risk teens, because if they don't have a place to go, they don't have something to do. So what normally happens, you either end up finding something that you truly can do, but sometimes it's not always the most positive thing. A lot of times, even in my experience, when teens don't have something to do in a positive environment, they typically go to the negative side. They're bored, and so they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and it's because they don't have that place, or they haven't taken the time to step into those spaces and recognize that you don't have to do these things. Like, there is a place where you can learn and grow in a fun way. We understand that you spend time in class just like I spend time in work, my 8 hours. There's moments where I get home, I don't want to talk about work, I don't want to think about work, I don't want to do more work. I get that. And so that's what our programs, whether it's a youth center, whether it's a boys and girls club, are trying to give opportunities that are fun and engaging, and not just this type of classroom setting, feel, vibe, or whatever. So, understand that there is a positive impact that is trying to be made. You just have to give it a chance. But if those doors aren't open, if those opportunities aren't there for the kids, whether it's funding or space or travel or getting the kids to the program, again, that's the first step, is getting the kids into the program. And then how do we find the resources? How do we find the staff to be able to really deliver on what it is that we're trying to do and the impact that we're trying to have? Because if you're lacking in those areas, then the kids are lacking in those areas, and then it's a domino effect. If you tell a kid that we have opportunities to come to the Boys and Girls Club, we have opportunities for academic success, but then when they get there, there's really no resources for them to excel in school. Or if we're telling them this is a safe space for your mental well-being, and then you get there and the staff haven't been able to be trained effectively in just responding to mental health situations, whether it's knowing how to manage mental health, or knowing the resources that are available. And these are real things that are happening in some of our boys and girls clubs and youth centers. And we want to make sure that all of our bases are covered, in the sense of making sure that there's adequate time for them to do that. I know sometimes we wear multiple hats as advisors and as staff, and we're kind of bouncing from here to there, and we find ourselves not able to lock in that time that we need to do that training or pick up on that knowledge. And so it can become difficult sometimes. So it's making sure that we are allowing the staff to be able to get those resources that are necessary without causing any burnout, because burnout is definitely real, and it is totally important that we also take care of the advisors, because if the advisors aren't good, how are they supposed to be able to deliver to the teens and make sure that they have that impact? Because I know on days when I'm not feeling the greatest, the things that I say may not come off in the right way, or it might not be as uplifting. Even though I may be saying something positive, it may not be as uplifting as if I really kind of take a moment and put that emphasis on it, and really get the kids excited about an activity or a project. And so if the advisors aren't good, then what good is it for the kids? So it truly is a trickle down effect, from the higher ups down to the people on the main floor to the youth. And so I've truly found such a passion for advocating for just the clubs, the programs, but also the kids, because again, you hear some of the things that they go through, the things that they deal with, and you just want to give them the biggest hug, and the type of hug that embraces them with hope, that embraces them with opportunity and experiences that they can have, because a lot of these experiences are also once in a lifetime. You know, the teen that I brought today, this is her first time coming to Washington D.C. and being able to see some of the monuments and experience some of the things. And it's like, you know, if you hadn't gotten involved in our program and done some of the things within our youth center as far as clubs and things like that, you would have never, this opportunity may not have happened, you know, at least in this time frame. Not to say that you'll never visit Washington D.C., but you know, to be able to go for free and, you know, have no expenses paid type of deal, and get to see all of these things, I think, you know, an experience like that is, you know, I don't want to say rare, but, you know, if you don't invest that time into it, you know, the likelihood of that happening is a lot smaller. So, you know, that's what I've kind of been doing while I'm out here, is just kind of being that support system for them in just guiding discussions and really trying to help them achieve their goal, because it's their program as well. And it's yes, we have advisors that run the program, if you will, but you know, we want to really tap into what the kids are interested in and what their needs are. And so, you know, I can't, you know, if a kid wants to play kickball, but I'm constantly advertising basketball, the kid's not going to want to come, you know, they're not going to be interested, because we're not tapping into what it is that they like. You know, we could start off with kickball and then try to introduce basketball into it, you know, because they see that they're being heard in what it is that they want to do. So, just checking again. Don't mind me, people. Appreciate y'all. So yeah, so that's kind of what we've been doing. We'll be here until Friday, but we just took a tour around DC for a little bit yesterday, and tomorrow I believe we're going to the Arlington Cemetery, as well as seeing the tomb of the unknown soldier, which is something that I've never experienced before. So I'm kind of excited for that, just to kind of experience it. I think we'll get to see some museums today. Some of them I've seen, but I'm very interested to go back in, just to the last time that I came here kind of for a similar trip, you know, which is also something that I'm trying to focus on, is I was very touristy in the sense of, you know, taking a lot of pictures, taking a lot of videos. And, you know, one of the things that I'm trying to do in the spaces that I'm in, whether it's events or, you know, family gatherings or even trips that I'm taking, is trying to be a little bit more mindful on how much I am using my phone and how much I'm kind of recording through my phone. And the reason being is that it kind of goes to the point of, you know, do I want to watch my experiences through my phone, or, you know, later on, you know, quote unquote, like on TV, versus truly experiencing it, looking at it, touching it, you know. I think there is kind of a different thing that happens when you just kind of put the phone down and just, you know, look with your eyes, listen with your ears, you know, touch with your hands, and truly experience those things, versus just, you know, holding up a phone and kind of, you know, scanning it through. And there's, you know, there's nothing wrong with capturing those moments, you know, so that you can look back on them later. But, you know, just being mindful to truly be in the moment, and to just truly embrace the experience that is before you. So what I'm going to try to do, if we get to go to some of the ones that I've already been to, is just kind of just tuck the phone away this time. You know, since I already have the pictures, I don't really need to take, you know, the same pictures unless it's something new, or if I want to grab a selfie with some people, that's cool. But truly just take the time to just kind of look and just absorb it all in, and just have it as something that is in my own memory bank versus an artificial one. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I think on Thursday we're gonna get to go to the Pentagon, which again, super excited. I've never been there either. They told me that we can't take pictures or videos. I'm hoping that that will be different once we get there, but we'll see. Again, it may just be one of those things that I just get to keep within my internal memory bank versus a digital one. So looking forward to that. And then we fly out, kind of in the afternoon on 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 Friday. So and then it's right back to work on Monday. Lots of stuff happening, and then I actually fly out to New York in 2 weeks for something else. Which again, a lot of great experiences that are going to come from that as well. So just looking forward to it. It is also my birthday month, so. If anybody wants to send me a birthday gift, be sure to drop a comment. I have Cash App, I have Venmo, I have PayPal. I appreciate all of it. I'm just kidding. Um, I'm just grateful to. I'm just grateful to be here. Honestly, I'm grateful for God in everything that He has just done for me, even in my mistakes. Which again, I was doing a 2 cents of faith reel actually just a few moments ago before I started recording this, and just really appreciating the small things and just appreciating what God has done for me, and trying not to focus on my mistakes, but just trying to focus on the goodness that God is, and all the things that I've just been blessed with. I'm just grateful for another year. I'm grateful that He's allowed me to be here again because of my mistakes. As you read through Scripture, people make mistakes, people sin, and a lot of times God casts them down, rightfully so. Um, and so I'm just grateful that He's kept me here to continue to try to redeem myself, if you will, and try to better myself, try to better our relationship, and just serve Him in the way that I'm supposed to. Use the gifts that He has given me, and bless others in that way. And hopefully even just hearing this blesses you as well. Or if you haven't checked out 2 Cents of Faith, be sure to go to, I'm not wearing the hat, I thought I was, go to Have More Faith. We have it on Instagram. It's Have More Faith _HMF, where I am getting back into a better routine of posting 2 Cents of Faith, which is just my 2 cents when it comes to faith, um, more in line with experiences that I've had, and scripture that I read, and just kind of tying the two together, and trying to make it something real for people to just kind of understand, almost like a parable, that Jesus talks about in the Bible as well. But yeah, I'm just, as I approach, man, 37, doesn't feel like it. But I am grateful. I am, really blessed, truly, despite, what may be happening around me, where my life is right now, things that have happened recently. I am still truly and deeply blessed by it. And so, I'm really happy about it. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to a lot of things that I have planned. I got some new music coming. I promise it is coming. We are just kind of working in silence and working on things other than the announcements that I'm making right now, obviously. But lots of stuff that is coming, lots of stuff that's in the works. So please stay tuned for that. I'm truly looking forward and excited for you guys to hear these things. And I'm excited for you to just kind of see the progress too of what we've been doing. We have a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we've been doing, and so I'm really excited for you to see that. So for anybody, any people that follow artists, please understand that you know just because you don't hear from them doesn't mean that they're not working, doesn't mean that they've stopped creating or stopped making music or whatever. It's just that we are, for some of us, we just we work better in silence, and sometimes we just want to present something to you, you know super fresh and super real, and it doesn't, you may not see the progress all the way through in real time, but you'll get to see it afterwards. And so I hope that you guys just be patient and just be as excited as I am to release to hear and release release some new stuff. So one of the things that I did also just want to talk about, I've listened to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and there was a discussion that was brought up, and I guess I'm saying this, maybe to get some probably to get some feedback on how we can either make this a change or maybe help us, connect better with artists. And so what I'm saying is that, Forrest, in the podcast that I was watching, Forrest Frank, kind of describes an opportunity where he reaches out to L.Y.F.E and doing a song, and they end up, collaborating and doing a song. And the way that he said it was just that, hey, I just, sent a DM and he responded and we put a song together. And I'm thinking about it, and I don't know at what period they were within their careers and what have you, but just in my experience, in doing something like that with people that are, we'll just say, for lack of better words, like higher on the food chain when it comes to their levels of success in the music industry. Once you reach that a certain point, it's almost like these people are untouchable when it comes to reaching out to them. You send them a DM, the DM doesn't go through because you're not following them or they're not following you, and so they tell you to send an email and send it to my booking agent. And then you send the email to the booking agent and you don't hear a response because maybe it's, you also understand that they're probably receiving hundreds, if not thousands, of those same emails. And, how many times can you reword it to make yourself stand out? So, how do, for those that are truly taking the music industry seriously, how do we, you know, kind of level up in the sense of, if I am lower than somebody, as far as, again, that level of success, if you will, and I'm trying to kind of reach up, to bring myself up, not by using that person, but because I genuinely am interested in their music and genuinely interested in creating a beautiful piece of work with them, regardless of their status. How do I do that? You know, and that's to say that, obviously there are artists that will charge for a feature or have some sort of expense that comes along with it. And if you are somebody that can afford those kind of things and you're ready and you're gung-ho, well, then how do I reach out to this person to get to that point? Because again, a lot of times you send the DM, it doesn't go through, it doesn't work, they don't respond. You send the email, it doesn't work, it doesn't respond. I'm not gonna just show up at the person's house and knock on the door and hope that they answer. No, I'm probably gonna get arrested for trespassing and bothering this person and a restraining order. Who knows? But it just made me kind of just reflect a little bit and just how, you know, I don't feel like I would be able to reach these kinds of people, but it's like I want to be known for taking this seriously, and for people to recognize that. And just because of maybe I'm not where they're at, it doesn't mean that my mindset isn't in the same as that. So you know it's just, drop a comment, let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe what are your best practices for reaching out to artists that are maybe a little bit higher than you, and what has truly worked for you as far as reaching those people in order to maybe collaborate in some sort of way, or whether it's an artist or whether it's maybe a business that you've been trying to reach out to for a job, or just a company that you want to work for or partner with, or whatever it may be. You don't necessarily have to be an artist, but what is something that you recognize as a struggle to kind of gain contact with, just because of, again, whether they're higher up, or just seen as that like unreachable thing. Like what has worked for you to reach out to them and actually make that connection, for that partnership to start. So I know a lot of it has to do with networking and knowing people, but what is it, the 7 degrees of separation? Like how far do you have to do that in order to really connect, when I really just want to go to the source and just be like, hey, what's up, man? Can you check out my music? Take the, again, you deal with, somebody that probably receives thousands of, hey, check out my music. I'd love to work with you. Let me know what you think, type of deal. So I get it, because, I'm obviously not in that situation. And so, to see it from the other side, I can definitely understand how daunting that could be, receiving it and being like, all right, if you do want to take that time to check out the emails and stuff. But, it's kind of a, it's a two-edged sword. So I'm just curious to hear what you guys think. So let me know. And then, some of the other things that they were talking about too was what I was addressing earlier when it came to, visiting the monuments and stuff, is truly just making sure that we are focused in, that we are dialed into what it is that we're working on. When it's time to work, like, let's work. Don't be on your phone, working on stuff. That stuff can kind of go away. I remember, I don't know if it was a Bible study or a preaching that I heard, but when we wake up, what's the first thing that we usually reach for? It's, typically our phone. And we start, either scrolling, seeing our messages, seeing emails, all of those things, and we forget to just wake up and to just give God thanks for waking us up. Our first thing is to just start scrolling on our phone, and not even get ready for the day, especially when you got to go to work. But it really is real and true, because there's been moments where I have done that. I've gotten up, and then I'll start checking my emails, or I'll start checking my notifications on social media. And then you end up start scrolling, and then you see things that, whether it's an email or whether it's maybe a notification that you see that you maybe don't like, or is a frustration to you. And so it's like you're already basically just 5 minutes awake, and you've already kind of started your day on a frustrating note. Whereas if you had just kind of got up, been grateful, started creating your day, had your coffee first, and then started to attack, those things. So what they said is that those emails, those troubles, those notifications, those things are gonna be there after you've done all the preceding things. Again, being grateful, getting dressed, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, maybe make some breakfast, maybe get that coffee if you need it. Those things are still going to be there. And by you checking them quicker doesn't mean anything. And I know some of us have maybe demanding jobs, and if you got to check the email, because if it's an issue that needs a quick resolution. But I mean, if you're waking up and you're seeing that, and 9 times out of 10, it's probably something that was sent the night before. So you maybe already had 5 hours of gap time that has gone unanswered. So, what difference does it truly make if you are, you give it another hour, realistically, right? So it's just things that I've been. Sure, this is cool. Things that I've been just thinking about. Again, just really making sure that when it's time to work, let's be dialed into that. when it's time to spend time with family, let's be dialed into that. Let's make sure that we are giving them the attention that they deserve, that we are focused on them, that we are, giving them the quality time that they deserve, because, we are locked in on those other moments, or we're going to work, or we're working on a podcast or a clothing brand or what have you. So, make sure that you are taking the time to just take the time, literally, So, yeah, man, I think I'm going to keep this one short. It's been super cool. I definitely miss, my team being here. Again, shout out to the team. But, we are off doing great things in our own way. And I'm super excited to share maybe next week what happens with what we talk about, for this podcast, or what's happened this week, on next podcast. But again, be sure to check us out on social media, the Right Mind Podcast. And you can check out www.rightmindpodcast.com, where we have merch. We have some stickers, coasters, a bunch of t-shirts. Be sure to check that out. Help spread the word, help support the podcast. Everything goes right back into the podcast and just, helping us grow, make us better, deliver better. But again, we appreciate where we're at, and what we're doing, and we just want to continue to make connections through conversations. And part of that does help, with the support through our store, or any donations. Anybody that wants to help us, sponsor us, we are here and willing to sit at the table and listen. So we appreciate you. But again, shout out to the team. I want to say God bless. Lastly, if you are looking for any Christian merch, be sure to check out For His Glory. That's IV His Glory. You can find them pretty much everywhere. Make sure you find the right one, because there's a lot of people that are scamming and taking their designs, which is really bad. Don't do that. Whoever's doing it, please stop, because you're messing with a really great brand. But you can also get 15% off J_Faith Official promo code. Man, I just hope that everybody's well, I hope that everybody is great. Be sure to tap in with us if you want to drop us a comment, drop us a message, something that you want to hear on the podcast, a guest that you want to see on the podcast. Reach out to us. We are here to listen, and we are here to, bring those conversations to light. And, and it can be a remote conversation. We can do this virtually, or we can bring them in person. So be sure to just let us know. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith. This is the Right Mind Podcast, and we'll catch y'all next time. What's up?